Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's lecture with Sister Rona. Tonight's theme is the power of thoughts. She will be sharing with us how to use our mind in guiding the mind on how to create thoughts that will be very helpful for us, that will be very beneficial in our everyday life, in our dealings with my inner world, dealing with others, and using positive thoughts to help ourselves, to help each other. Thoughts are very important because with my thoughts I can create my feelings, the feelings that I want to feel. If I want to feel happy, I have to create thoughts that will make me feel happy. And once I am happy, others will also feel happy. It is contagious. So we have to contaminate people with positive and good thoughts with our mind. And only by creating positive thoughts that can happen. And when we all are in that same frame of thinking, that's how we create a good atmosphere. That's how we create good relationships. That's how we create good feelings towards each other. So I believe she will have some tools to use to concentrate and to lead lead our minds into being more calm and peaceful. So our inner feelings will be more peaceful. So enjoy the lecture and let's see how we can use our mind in a better way. Om Shanti.
Good evening, everyone. And maybe I should start with special congratulations for the fact that you are here on this beautiful summer day. Choose to listen to a lecture on the power of thought while everyone is out. I couldn't believe today in Manhattan there was a traffic jam. First time since since more than a year now. It was so busy on the streets here. Amazing. Interesting to see how quickly we get used to certain circumstances. But now everyone is out. So very good you are here. But maybe we can start with a moment of silence. And in that moment of silence, observe your own mind and try to see if you can guide your thoughts into a calming, soothing atmosphere in your mind. Just a minute as an experiment, thought experiment. Thank you. Thought. Thought is one of our primary functions. No, Descartes, the French philosopher, scientist, um, he said, "I think, therefore I am." No, so an indication of existence and of awareness is this power of thought. And we think, we think all the time, and we create all kinds of thoughts. But what may be very useful to begin to observe within ourselves, what is that medium in which thoughts are created? What gives rise to certain types of thoughts, and what gives rise to other type of thoughts? And when one traces one's own thoughts, or try to trace your own thoughts back or to its origin, where did that thought come from? What started that thought? One of the things that at least I observe within myself, there are so many thoughts. We create so many thoughts. Just in this minute that we were meditating, my thoughts were more than 60 thoughts were there. All kinds of thoughts. And one thing that was observed, and that maybe you also observed for yourself, is that we do not really guide our thoughts. It is just like a monkey that just goes on, or some chicken without a head. All kinds of thoughts. And in that minute also, I observed that I had the power to stop it. And there was the power to choose. No, why have all these different wandering thoughts? Let me focus. And I chose a conscious theme for my thoughts. And then it was calm. I had to hold that guard inside, but I could consciously create thoughts that I was choosing, and theme of the theme that I had chosen for those thoughts. And I could hold thoughts within that. And within that 1 minute that we were just doing this thought experiment, I could already feel how the mind as if got decluttered, because there was the conscious choice to choose a certain type of thoughts. And so there was no need for all these other thoughts to pop up and to come in and to distract the mind and carry it all over. And so this wonderful thing that we have called mind, thoughts are created. Mind is much more than just the creation of thoughts, but thoughts are a big part of this function of this wonder, this mind that we have. But one of the things that would be more useful is if we become more conscious, more alert, and more aware of kinds of thoughts that we are producing. Because it is almost as if one gets into this automatic pilot of producing all kinds of thoughts, whilst to discover that thoughts can be guided by me, and that I can choose thoughts. This will be nice discovery and a very nice tool to bring more serenity to the mind, more soothing feelings also. And talking with others, sharing experiences of how this inner world is working. One of the observations is that many of those thoughts that we are having are kind of cyclical in nature. Maybe 80, maybe 90% even of the thoughts are cyclical. And cyclical means it is the same thoughts going over and over and over and over again. And then tomorrow again, same set of thoughts going over and over again and getting distracted and here and there, and we hear something in the news and something through our devices, or someone says something or someone calls something, and all these thoughts just jumbled up in the mind. And then the next day again, same, and the next day again. It is actually a waste of our mind and a waste of our mental energy, waste of our thoughts. Since we create thoughts, and thoughts are like breathing, breathing, body just has to breathe. It does. Otherwise, body will stop functioning. So in the same way, in our inner world, this mind, thinking is natural. One who is existing, one who is alive, creating thoughts, having thoughts is natural. It is a sign of life. It is a sign of existence. But what kind of thoughts are we thinking? And what is this underlying basis of our thoughts? That is where we could be more juicy. That is where we could be more focusing on, so that this inner world and this quality of thoughts becomes better, because thoughts do have power. And to illustrate this, one example from my own practice when I was still working in medicine. Two patients are there, and one patient has both patients, they have certain echo done, and the result for some reason gets mixed up. And so one who doesn't have complaints, his results tell him that he have gallstones. And so he goes home with the diagnosis and the thought in his mind, I have gallstones, but he doesn't have symptoms, he doesn't have complaints. And the other one has symptoms, he has certain complaints, but his test result comes back telling him no gallstones, he is okay. And so he goes home with that thought, with that impression, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong with me. And a month later, both are there again, and they have to, not a month, 3 months later, they go for the same test again, both of them. And then they find out that the results were mixed up. The physician finds that the results were mixed up. But interestingly, the one who went home with a diagnosis, but he had no symptoms, he developed gallstones. And his results were actually mixed up with the other one. The other one who had symptoms but who was told he had nothing, his gallstones actually disappeared. And some will say, yeah, this is placebo effect. This is some psychological effect. He believed certain things, and so it happened. And placebo is this what would measurable or perceived improvement of treatment from treatment. And they say 30% of treatment has this placebo effect. But maybe it is more of a mind over matter thing. And this would be useful to experiment on for yourself. There is a factor that is uh, pertaining to the psyche that influences the body. And we are so careless with our mind. We are so careless with our thoughts. In the 1960s, they discovered a tribe in the Amazon. And that tribe had a certain belief system. And there were some villages deep in the Amazon. They hadn't had contact with Western civilization. And they had this belief system that the older you get, the fitter you get. And what they found is that is what happened in that tribe. The older they were, the people were fitter. They could run faster, longer distances. The older they got. 60, a person at 60 is fitter than a person who is 30. And what they found is people in that tribe, they died in their sleep at old age, more than 100 years. And they didn't know what was illness and sickness. And they had this deep entrenched cultural conviction that the one who gets older, one gets more fitter. When suggested research around what is this Alzheimer, it needs further investigation. But when you see the numbers of Alzheimer in certain societies compared to other societies, one factor in which those societies differ is the way society view their elderly. In societies where elderly people are seen as wise and where they are seen as being consulted and where the whole family turns to them for guidance and advice, and they maintain a certain respect and dignity as the head of the family until their death. In those societies, they see much less Alzheimer cases than in societies where we view old age as something useless and horrible to happen, where people don't want to get old. And so maybe in all those areas, there are certain psychic factors related to physical and mental health also. But it is not just the thought, because we know that we cannot just say, oh, I want a certain thing and I think about it and it happens. Or I say, I want to be healthy and it just happens. It is not just the thought, but it is a deeper belief system that gives rise to certain thoughts. and a deeper belief system that is associated with certain behavior patterns also. And so this whole energy of thought comes from that deeper belief system. But every thought has its world. Every thought leads to certain feelings and certain emotion. Every thought is connected with a certain vibrations and a certain vibe that you put out. Every thought is the precursor of what you speak and is the precursor of the way you act. The thoughts are very much associated with your intentions and with your attitude also. So there is a whole world around your thoughts, and these thoughts come from these deeper beliefs that we hold. And so if I believe I am, for example, not worthy to be healthy, not worthy of a healthy body, if for whatever reason, because of some bad actions or some past programming, mental programming, I feel my life is not worth much. I don't deserve a healthy body. Thoughts come from that deeper belief and that energy, and they might precipitate into a physical reality. But it is not just the superficial thought. It is deeper, conditioned thinking that might give rise or give birth to certain type of thoughts. But then those thoughts are carried into feelings, and I feel in a certain way about life, about self, about others, about situations. And the quality of our life and the quality of my life is mainly associated with the quality of my inner life, not so much of outer life. And this is what? A truth that unfortunately in today's society we have forgotten or we have lost sight of. Much of our behavior and our thinking revolves around what goes on outside and how things are at an external level. But my experience of quality of life has also much to do, if not everything to do, with the way I think. So, for example, if there is a certain hurdle, physical hurdle in front of me, or an obstacle, I may call it. If I think, oh, again, I have to climb over it, or again, this thing is coming in front of me, then that is how I will feel. And I will see life as difficult. But if the mental positioning and the thoughts in that situation are one of, oh, this is a nice game and a little test for my physical strength and my skills and my intelligence. Let us see how I take this hurdle. Then the energy and the experience of that situation will be very different. And I might not see life as a big, bad, horrible thing. but I'm playing the game. And in the game, there are tests, and in the game, there are obstacles and hurdles for me to strengthen my skills and refine my possibilities and become victorious. And even if I'm not victorious, at least I can enjoy the game and strengthen my skills. But how I perceive that situation and how I deal with that situation again comes back to what are the quality of my thoughts and what is the medium from which these thoughts come. So, what should we do to raise the quality of our thoughts? And what should we do to make use to harness this power of thoughts and use this for our own benefit? First of all, um, it will be useful to observe your deeper belief systems that you hold. And there are some areas around which you can easily check. What is your basic model to life, a model of life in general? What do you think life is for? And because even though we might not have rationalized this for ourselves ever, we still all hold a certain model at the back of our mind, certain lenses through which we view life and uh, uh, judge and choose and decide and discern. And so this is useful for yourself to ask the self, what is my model of life? Because that conscious or subconscious uh, psychological positioning for our mind that decides how we perceive things, how we see things, and what kinds of thoughts we have. And those thoughts then decide my feelings and my experience of life in general and of myself. And we'll move over to the board because we'd like to use some sketches to kind of illustrate this whole idea of model of life. So just give us a moment. Is this sound okay for everyone?
Yes, it's good.
There will be possibility for questions later on. So just give us a few more minutes to develop this topic a bit further. But if you have questions, just write them down and we'll open up the mic for some comments or questions. So what is the belief that you hold about life in general, and what is the belief that you hold about self and purpose of life in general? Because that is like the, the medium for thoughts to develop. And so one model is there is nothing and there is no one and I am nothing And then at some moment in time, there is this birth. Birth takes place. Baby is born. And I'm nothing and no one. And whilst life develops, I become someone. The parents give me a name, they give me certain heritage and certain family and family structure and culture and nationality. So I am nothing and no one until I am given all these things. And further I go into life, I get an education, I get friends and get to know more people, I socialize and I develop um, social skills and I evolve into society and I get an education and a job and maybe get married. I get things and I become someone and I become successful, or I'm leading a life because of what comes to me. And then at some stage, all of that comes into decline. The body gets older and older and older. And at some stage, there is an end to the body. And then everything ends. Now, this is model one. And so the deeper belief in this is I am nothing and no one until I get and I have. Now, this belief system, this model, if I operate from that model, there is always a deeper sense of neediness, and there is always a deeper sense of some level of insecurity. And so that will give rise to certain types of thoughts of needing and desiring and wanting, or that will be the underlying drive, a certain longing and a certain sense of, I hope I can hold on to it, a certain anxiety. And so this is a certain type of mindset, a mindset of neediness, you could say, a neediness mindset. And in that mindset, certain types of thoughts emerge. Another model is, and this is what the spiritual model is you are a spiritual being and you are complete. You are a being of consciousness. You are innately divine in nature, naturally, basically, godlike, a spiritual being. And that being of consciousness temporarily takes a body on loan and then takes birth. But you are already, as a spiritual being, complete, a timeless being, an immortal being, a being who is godlike in nature, innately peaceful, innately loving, innately joyful. And we come into this physical world, we take on a physical body to play the game of human life, to experience a variety of human experiences, to express certain innate potential and skills and creativity. But we are already complete. And this life, this taking of this body and life is extra. And so one who lives life with this model lives life in a mindset of fullness. And this is a mindset of emptiness or of lacking. And this is simplified to illustrate kind of underlying um, um, consciousness and a certain state of awareness. And from there, thoughts arise. Now, if we want to harness the highest quality of thoughts and reap the fruit of the impact of the thoughts, then it will be useful to have a look at our mindset and our deeper beliefs and our model of life. And like we said in the beginning, many of us may have never rationalized this for ourselves. And we certainly, I did not choose the mindset in which I was growing up. Much of it was just copied, subconsciously copied from the culture I was born in, the society I was born in, the family I was born in, what my parents gave to me, or what my parents' mindset was there, and what was coming to me towards education. And much later on, I began to explore the deeper spiritual understandings and a sense of identity based on what is spiritual. And I started to begin to observe the difference. And so when we talk about power of thought, power of thought, we are aware of it. Power of um, our feelings and our emotions, they are connected with our thoughts. So if we feel in a certain way, it is because there are thoughts that are in a certain pattern that create these feelings. But how do we want to change thoughts in a truly effective way? We need to go to this level of mindset or our deeper awareness and our deeper beliefs, because just thoughts is not enough. Like I already said earlier on, we may create a certain thought. Oh, I want what? I want something, but it may not necessarily happen most of the time. But if our consciousness is in alignment and from their thoughts come, that might happen. And one friend of mine, she told me a while ago, she said, Rona, I don't believe in this positive thinking, positive thinking, positive thinking. Because and she's a bit overweight and she struggled with her weight all her life. And she said, because I tried this every morning for 3 months, I would get up and look in the mirror and tell myself, you have lost weight, you have lost weight, you have become thinner. And it is not true, it didn't work. So superficially, just creating a thought, we all really know that that is not going to work. And so I asked her, do you truly believe that you can lose weight? And she said, no. I said, well, that is the level that creates your behaviors and your feelings and your reality. The deeper health convictions and beliefs. And all of those deeper health convictions and those deeper health beliefs, they are connected with your sense of identity also, who you are and how you position yourself in life and your model of life. And so just superficially observing your thoughts and trying to change your thoughts, it might work superficially also, and only maybe for that moment. But you will always come back to certain thought patterns and certain clutter in the mind if the deeper health belief systems and the deeper health mindsets are not shifting. And so experimenting with the power of thought is very useful, and observing your thoughts is very useful. Shifting your thoughts, putting a full stop to certain thought patterns, shifting them around, doing things like gratitude exercises, seeing what is good instead of focusing on what is not good. Uh, um, Creating this alertness and this awareness of everything that you already have instead of focusing on things that you lack. Those exercises are all very useful. But in the long run, to really, in a natural way, change the quality of your thinking, we need to shift at the level of awareness. We need to shift at the level of mindset. We need to shift at the level of our paradigms and our model of self and of life. And so I would like to invite you to do this exercise for yourself. And if you can in writing, that might always be useful. Ask yourself, deep down, what is my model to life? Your sense of purpose will come from that. And your sense of value of self will come from that. Is it more aligned with this model 1, or is it closer to this model 2? And if this second model is not there, then reflect on this. Maybe I should broaden my perspective on life and include the spiritual understandings. Because if it can lead to a feeling of fullness and a higher appreciation of life and of self, quality of thoughts will be better. And the impact of those thoughts will be fulfilling and positive. And of course, there is always that talk about positive thoughts, and we should think positively. But how can we truly think positively if our mindset is of emptiness? If our model of life and our model of ourself and our perception of ourself is one of emptiness and of lacking, then we will use the power of thought to pursue things out of a sense of insecurity. In this mindset, the quality of our thoughts will be naturally positive, naturally elevated. And the power of those thoughts will have a different type of impact in our life. Okay, any comments? And maybe just one final remark. Model to life also includes our understanding of true self, spiritual self, but also an accurate and proper understanding of God. Now, accurate thoughts of God might be the most powerful thoughts to have, but not God from whom we are begging, but God as a companion, God as a companion who accompanies me on the journey of life. In this model, there is the natural feeling of worthiness of that. In this model, we might believe in God, we might want God, we might call out to God to get rid of our emptiness or to give us something to make us feel fulfilled. In this model, God is the companion. Those thoughts that give you the experience of God and the experience of what God experiences as an ocean of bliss, as an ocean of love, as an ocean of peace. Okay.
Hello. Okay, we are open for questions now. You can open your mic yourself. And before, there is a question on the chat. How do you become totally free from body, mind, and intellect and stay in your real self? This question is from Bina.
Free from body, mind, and intellect.
Yes,
It's
and
not, yeah,
free
yeah,
from body, mind, and intellect and stay in your real self.
yeah. It's not that we have to become free from the body, but in this context, to have the right attitude towards the body and the right attitude and the right thoughts about the body, not to be subservient to the body. It's not that we have to become free from the mind and free from thoughts, but the power to have the accurate and the right thoughts, to use the mind in an accurate way. It's not that we have to become free from the intellect. There's nothing wrong with intellect, nothing wrong with the body also, nothing wrong with mind, as long as it is used in the right way and as long as we have the right attitude towards it. Thinking is not a problem. Having a body is not a problem as long as we use it properly. As long as we have the right attitude, as long as I don't think that I am the body or that I use the body for some indulgence to feel good, because then I become a slave. Then I become subservient to the body. And then we create all kinds of attachments and dependencies, and ultimately that leads to sadness and stress and sorrow. So that we don't want. But we don't have to become free from the body. Just have the accurate attitude towards the body.
Krupali has her hands up.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Hello.
Um,
Here, I'm gonna share my experience, my life experience. So, like when I was born, when I'm living the life, I lost my father, and then somehow I feel like in my back of my mind, I have a fear of death, right? So, would I call it like a emptiness, or is it like so? How do I train that deeper feeling?
Mm.
how to get rid of that deeper feeling.
Mm.
I try to do meditation, and there is another thing. When I so many times I got a dream that, like I'm going to wedding, and I always get late. This is also one kind of, so many repetitively I get that dream. So is it? I feel like, as you said, maybe it's kind of insecurity. You know,
I
I would
understand. Yeah.
understand that.
When we use this word, human being, there are two parts to this word. Human, I'm sorry, I don't have any clean paper, so I'll use this. Human and being. You can see this, no? There are two parts to this word, human and the being part. And human part is the body and all the things around the body and the bodily extensions. All of that is there. This is the human. But that is incomplete understanding of self. There is also the being. And we use this image, no? Like a star, being of light, consciousness that uses the body for a temporary period to express. Now, what has happened over time with humanity is we have forgotten the being. And we think of ourselves and we identify ourselves as a body and a bodily being. And deeper spiritual understandings is that body is like the vehicle, but the being is the real person, the one who creates thoughts, the one who has feelings, the one who has impressions. And without the being, body cannot do anything. Now, death means body finishes. Body has come to the end of the lifespan, but the being of consciousness, the soul, does not die. This is invisible, immortal being. So the soul continues. The soul is a traveler. And this body was just one part of the journey. And the journey continues after this body finishes, just like a car. This is the driver, this is the car. The driver gets in the car, and then the driver gets out of the car. And the car may get old and finish, but the end of the car does not mean the end of the driver. And so those people who I consider as my father, my mother, my friend, my grandfather, their bodies are not there anymore, but the soul travels on. Soul continues to exist. And these feelings of fear, for example, or anxiety, much of that comes from the fact that we do not live anymore in this awareness that we are travelers, spiritual travelers on a journey. Spiritual travelers who are immortal. Spiritual travelers who are innately divine. And that we, for a short period of time, take on this costume to express, to talk, to make noise, to run around, to do all kinds of things, to interact through the eyes, through the mouth, through expressions. But there will be a time, and we know this is truth for everyone. There will be a time when I, the soul, the being, leaves this physical vehicle behind. This vehicle either becomes old and it cannot function, or whatever happens and lifetime may be cut short. But the end of this vehicle doesn't mean the end of me, the driver. And the travelers go on their journey. And on the further journey, we may interact again in other forms. So I never truly lose anyone, because the one who is alive never dies. It is just the form, the physical form, that has ended. And so more we understand this as a reality. No, I can't find my previous. Anyway, sorry, I can't find the previous thing. More I begin to understand and experience this as a reality, my model to life becomes different. And my thoughts and my attitudes and my feelings shift. And this is what we do in meditation, to practice this understanding that the real self is a spiritual being, and to explore that consciousness, to explore the higher self, to explore that awareness of self as a being of light, a being who is immortal, a being who is a traveler and a guest on this planet, a guest in this world. And if that becomes my basic model to life, then my thoughts about situations will be different also. There will not be a sadness, for example, when someone goes, but there will be a feeling of, oh, good luck with your ongoing journey. My best wishes for your further travels. And my best wishes for myself with my further travels also. And thank you for what we have been able to share in these forms, and has enriched us. And let's go on further with our journeys. So the thoughts about this phenomena of death and dying will be different, because our perspective and our mindset is different. But it requires a paradigm shift, yes. And it is not the model by which society at present functions. So we go little bit against the herd mentality, you could say. But if it gives us a better quality of thoughts and a better quality of life, it is worth to experiment with. Thank you for this question. Very nice. I know there's someone else who opened the mic. One more question, and then we have to go because time is.
Can I ask a question,
Yes.
please?
Veena? Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
You see, I have been practicing meditation for quite some time, but the thoughts don't stop coming. You know, and connecting with the being, connecting with my real self becomes very difficult. So what can we do to be able to, you know, get to that stage where we can really realize ourselves.
Maybe do again the meditation course.
I see.
I think so. No,
Oh,
it has to do with practice, definitely, but it has also to do with accuracy of practice and with accuracy of understanding. And to again and again go back to basics,
mhm.
again and again come back to the basic understandings and refine them and refine them. I myself, when I first started on my spiritual journey, the first year, I did the basic meditation course 20 times just and still every time I go back to that, put the basics right and build on that, build on that.
We
So in short, that is the best.
virtual meditation course also these days.
Sorry?
I'm saying that these days we have the virtual meditation course.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I'll get
We
into.
will be, for those who are interested, we are starting one on June 7th for 7 consecutive days.
Mhm,
If you have interest, you can go on the website. Maybe Jose can type the website in the chat.
mhm.
And if you have interest, you can
Yes,
check
I
that out.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And again, appreciation and for the fact that you are here, whilst you could have been out on a summer day in nature or wherever. Let us close with a moment of silent reflection. And in that moment, just try and focus on this idea of the self being an invisible traveler, a being of consciousness, living light. Thank you, and have a good evening. I'm
Thank you.
ready
Okay,
whenever you're
quick-
done.
a quick
Shanti.
reminder, these lectures are being recorded and they are being posted on Manhattan Facebook and YouTube. You can always go back and listen to these lectures and also other lectures that has been posted. There is the website posted there, and also somebody posted the link, the straight link to the for the 7 days course that is happening next month. So go to the website and find out how to register.
Can you tell me the website again, please?
It's on the chat. It's manhattanmeditationcenter.org.
I see.
And the link is in the chat.
And the link is in the chat also.
Very well. Thank you.
Okay,
Chat
good
means what?
evening.
What does chat mean?
Underneath, there
On
is
the, it should be on your screen. You find on your screen and click on where it says chat.
I see. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know, so I asked.
It's all right. Have a good night, everyone. Om Shanti.